history, we, as humans, have used the power of our minds to achieve incredible and amazing feats. In reality, our minds are simply tools we use to create our thoughts. And the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our experiences. A simple shift in perception will quickly and easily improve how you feel and what you believe is possible, helping you to achieve all of your personal goals, even those that previously seemed unattainable. Join us now as we explore the vast landscapes of our minds. This is Mind Over Matter. Hey, Mitch.
Yeah, good evening, Brandy. How are you tonight?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
I am doing so good, I could hardly stand it.
Oh, well, that's good.
I'm just feeling really good. Really good, yeah.
Right on. You know, I have a little surprise for you, Mitch.
I love surprises. Actually, I love surprises.
The other day, I have this really cool day-by-day calendar that a girlfriend gave me, and every day it has a cool little quotation, and it's usually like kind of girly, or it's inspirational. Sometimes it's girly. It says things like lipstick is power and different stuff like that.
Oh, God, yeah.
But the other day, it was on this weekend. It was the 25th and 26th, because on the weekend they only do one quote. There was this quote that came up, and as soon as I read it, I thought of you. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to like email Mitch this quote or something, and I never did. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to start the show with this quote. And because I read it, and I just totally thought of you.
Okay.
And it's written in I, but it's all for you, baby. It's by Edith
I'm
Stillwell.
Ready. Okay.
And it says,
I'll breathe it in.
I am not eccentric. It's just that I am more alive than most people. I am an unpopular electric eel in a pool of catfish.
Ooh, an electric eel. I like the sound of that. In a pool of catfish.
Yes, yes. So I thought that was very timely,
That's
and I
good,
just wanted to say thanks for being an electric eel.
Oh, well, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks for being alive.
I feed off you, so it's a good match. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we actually have a show to do.
Okay, here we go.
Rather than amusing ourselves all day while other people watch us. But we talked last week about NLP, and we had Patrick Singleton on demonstrating a trauma reversal that can be used for traumas and phobias. And we're actually going to do a little bit more on that at the start of the show, talking more about trauma reversals. Do you remember last show our CD messed up and started skipping and stuff, and it was kind of a bummer?
Yeah, I know, that was a bummer.
So we wanted to start today with bringing Patrick back on the interview and having him explain more about what trauma reversals are.
Okay, that sounds good to me, yeah.
I actually have to get that all set up, though.
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'll talk a little bit about it. You know, one of the things that Patrick and I talk about is some of my experience with the trauma reversal, because I've done this quite a few times. You know, Brandy's done this on me, and I've had it done in class a few times, and it's amazing how, I was thinking about that whole snake thing that I used to have, and when I was watching the DVD again last night, and I was like, it's amazing how healed. Like, I have a whole different experience when I'm hiking and just out there in the world, in my garden, in my yard. I have a bunch of land, and it's so nice to just walk around now without ever thinking about snakes. Yes, so let's show the DVD.
Okay,
you ready?
Let's go to that. Yep.
Okay, great. People, use NLP for. I know it's one of my favorite processes in NLP is that whole phobia and trauma reversal. Mm-hmm. I would love for you to talk a little bit about that and help our audience understand that it's pretty easy to get rid of all those fears and phobias that we've been walking around with for a long time.
Phobias and fears happen because the subconscious mind, the prime thing that the subconscious does, the prime directive, its most important thing it does is survival. So it does that by Physiologically, it does it by running the nervous system. It controls the autonomic nervous system. But psychologically, emotionally, what it does is anything that happens to us that seems threatening, that seems dangerous, whether physically or emotionally, those memories are stored in a different way. They're represented in a different way than other types of memories. So the subconscious records everything you experience. It has the memories of all of that stuff, but the dinner that you had last week that was, no big deal, that memory is represented in a way that reflects that it's no big deal. The memory where you almost got hit by a car is represented in a way that represents the impact of that. So now what happens is, if the subconscious is going to be able to keep you alive, if something happened that was dangerous or seemed dangerous, if it's going to keep you alive, it has to know how to anticipate that danger in the future. So then what that means is that once one of those kind of events happens, it's always looking for, is that one of those kind of events? It's always making comparisons. So anytime it says, okay, this event is like that other event, what it will do at the subconscious level is replay the movie, the memory of the earlier event, and that movie, that recording of the earlier event will generate all the feelings that happened back then. So when you almost were hit by a car, when you fell off or almost fell off of an edge, and you felt that fear, when the subconscious replays that memory, it regenerates that fear, and the fear is like, oh shit, don't worry. So that memory then generates that feeling. So it's the subconscious trying to fulfill its objective of keeping you alive.
So it doesn't really even have to be real. I know sometimes I used to have a real snake phobia, and I know that I could see a twig in the rain on the side of a trail, and just seeing that twig would activate that same kind of fear as if it was real.
Perfect. So what that's saying is that the present time stimulus doesn't have to be actual. And you're absolutely right. We say in hypnosis that the subconscious is an association-making mechanism. So whatever it is that creates that comparison of similarity. For example, I had a client a number of years ago that had a phobia of snakes. Her phobia of snakes was so bad that if they were at home watching, surfing the channels, and they happened to flip on the Discovery Channel and there was a snake on the TV, she would have to get up and leave the room.
That was me.
Right? Now she knew, okay, this is television, it's not real, but that didn't do anything to what she felt in her body. So, phobias aren't rational. And so some people have, for some people, the biggest issue or problem they have with it is not even so much the phobia itself as the judgment they have about themselves for having it. And yet it doesn't mean anything other than your mind works and it's doing its job. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you're this kind of person or that kind of person. It means your mind works. Your mind is actually doing its job to keep you alive. So the method, what we do is we go in and we change that movie by running it backwards. That's the simplest way to say it, because what happens is when you run the movie backwards, all of the emotion that was in the original event falls. It drops. And the reason it drops is because when you experience the event, one thing happened and the next thing happened and the next thing happened and the next thing happened. When you're in life and you have a feeling about something that already happened. Well, when the movie is coming backwards, then the sequence is reversed also, and then suddenly backwards the feeling happens before the event that triggered it. So it would be as if you were walking down the street and suddenly you were terrified and you looked around and you went, What am I terrified about? And then you heard a car backfire that sounded like a gunshot and you went, oh, that's what I was terrified about, but wait a minute, it hadn't happened yet. You can't be afraid of what hasn't happened yet. You're not anticipating it, right? So by running the movie backwards, the emotion from the original event drops out of it.
So it sort of disconnects the emotion from the event.
Absolutely.
Oh, excellent.
And it happens very, very quickly.
I didn't even realize how quickly that it had been fixed or healed. It was pretty fascinating. And it's really changed my life. I go hiking now and I don't have to think about it. It's one less thing to think about when I'm on the trail.
Well, see, and that's a common report, is that, at the very least, for people who've got one of these, that it's one less thing they don't have to think about. It's like one of those limitations that they used to have to find some way to cope with is not there. And then for some people, the people that had a real big judgment about it, that, oh, I'm a weak person, or I'm a wuss, or I'm a whatever, because they had that fear. For some of those people, then changing that, then they get to have a whole different way to define themselves, and they don't have to think about themselves as that kind of a person anymore.